Do we expect anything different coming out from picks and bans this time, Taco?
I don't really feel like Noble felt super comfortable on this healer comp that they were trying to run.
Yeah.
I know that it was something that they saw other teams having success against LG with. For instance, you know, Eager had a really good showing against LG with it. But at the same time, it didn't really fit like their playstyle. I'm not really crazy about them opting to go into that Athena first pick, even though I know Athena is great for having that global pressure and assurance. I think Wubbn was getting a pick too much to really properly utilize the Athena global pressure. And I would honestly rather see them opt more for that heavy early game aggression playstyle, because Mirage, for instance, I mean, he's a player who's been around the scene for a while. He's mostly known for his Thanatos gameplay back in the day. I would honestly be happy to see him pull out that Thanatos, because I think that it will provide his team with a lot of early game pressure, and I think it'll make things a little bit easier on Aduro in the mid lane, who also, you know, Aduro did great in that game, despite the difficulties as they were encountering with LG and their early, like,
The Raw,
they got
basically.
such a massive lead, but he was landing the snipes. It's just that the problem was Noble fell too far behind too early on to properly
100%.
utilize the Raw snipes, and so the damage that he was dealing was pretty ineffective, and that was primarily due to the fact that his team was already behind.
Now, Drelo as well, obviously, adding to the fact of what Taco just said there, we saw the Raw pick. You yourself, you know, you're a coach of denial. Do you look to try and take strategies from other teams if you see they work, or is this the right style Noble should go for?
I mean, obviously, Noble has shown that they're way too experienced to play for mid game. Now, if they correctly diagnose what their problems are and work to solve them in the next game, they could not only use this game as a learning experience, but also they could possibly fix their problems and make the second game a lot more competitive.
Now, it was also the fact that was the very first game at LAN for themselves as well. We saw LG, and the fact that I said this off air to you guys, I think like Noble had a bit of a tough task here. Obviously, LG just losing to Eager at the start put a lot of pressure on LG to really perform here.
100%.
Well, first pick's coming through is going to be Sol. We've seen the Jingwei ban and the BaRRaCCuDDa ban. So what they've done here is take away Mask's jungler and take Sol away from BaRRaCCuDDa again. Do you think this is wise, Taco?
I think it was an excellent decision by Noble to go ahead and take that BaRRaCCuDDa off the board from Mask. You don't want to let him play against such an inexperienced team with such a heavy comfort pick from him. It's just too easy for him to utilize the BaRRaCCuDDa ultimate and get himself ahead. And when you get yourself snowballing on Rat, that's a god that excels from the early to mid game, and then after the mid game point is when he starts to fall off a little bit, and that's why a lot of teams tend to stray away from him nowadays. But Sol, I think it was an excellent decision for them to go ahead and pick up and ban out the Jingwei, because it takes away Bear's comfort picks from him. And I think that Nemesis is also a great pickup for Noble, because that's definitely a god that Mirage feels a lot more comfortable on. They're opting again for the Athena, which is going to be great. Hopefully it works out a lot better than it did in the last game. I'm hoping to see some Nemesis initiation and then the Athena ult follow-up.
How are you feeling about this Drelo right now with
Raijin
the
Fafnir speaks of comfort. Like, this is LG. These are LG's gods. Like, if you have a god for LG and E-Troll, Raijin and Fafnir for support in mid. They love these two gods.
And it seems that BaRRaCCuDDa is going to go for his third choice here. Obviously, he's done for Sol, Jingwei, and now Ram seems to be the next staple for him.
And Nem into Fafnir is I talked to Bubble, or I'm sorry, Mirage for a little bit. There, Bubble is his old name.
Yeah.
And he says he really likes the Nem into the Fafnir matchup. Because Fafnir jumps in, he Nem ults. He has to either ult or he's just dead.
Okay, so you just put the pressure fully on him.
So it takes away a lot what Fafnir does. Now, I'm not sure if I agree with that, but it's sort of his logic going to this pick.
Now, the Sol pick as well for Noble here. Do we expect this in the Hunter role or the mid lane here?
I want to say it's going to be into the Hunter role, because if you play it mid lane with the Nemesis, you have very low CC with a combo with the Athena. Even if you bait beats on, say, like a character like Raijin or Rama, you're not really going to do a lot off that.
Okay, so we'll see where they go with this with the Nerja ban again. Focus towards Master a little bit more here from Noble eSports. Ravana taken away as well from Whalrus in that solo lane. With this time, obviously, ScaryD did get soloed in that game. A lot of people talking about that one too. Whalrus picking up that kill. Do we expect to see a little bit more survivability on the side of ScaryD here?
No, I just think he needs to play the lane differently. I think ScaryD is a very smart player and a very strong player. And I think he realizes what he did wrong in that laning phase.
Well,
I think he's fine. Quite
a few solo lanes being banned with the Sun Wukong and the Mana as well. We're expecting the picks to go now, Taco.
Well, the fact that Ninja's been taken away and the Amaterasu's been taken away, well, I was actually just about to say Robin. I didn't get it out fast enough. But it doesn't surprise me that ScaryD is going to, again, offer this Ravana. It's a pretty easy pick for him to try and bully out in the early game. And I don't think that he wants to end up getting soloed by Whalrus again. I think, if anything, he wants to be the one soloing Whalrus.
And the Alma band speaks to me, and there's like a Kukulkan. The Alma band speaks to me that they want to pick a mage with very low mobility. like I said before, Alma does the best out of every solo laner at killing mages or killing characters without escape. That ult is nuts. You have to beat Aegis to even survive. So
this composition from Noble all seems to be about protecting the back line here, obviously, with allowing the Kukulkan and Sol to deal damage from the back.
Now, I have a big my biggest issue with this comp right now is Kukulkan Athena is very low CC. Now, usually with Nemesis, you want to combo something with Raijin, something with very strong CC, so you don't really get too punished by beats.
And with Luminosity, their final pick for Master here is going to be the Batz, who's just great all-round, Techo.
I agree. I mean, we saw last week with EU how the Batz was able to be utilized to like its fullest potential, in my opinion, because the bots provided so much CC, and I thought that it was just a phenomenal showing by most of the EU junglers to really bring it out.
Who are you getting only on this game?
I'm going to have to stick it with Luminosity.
What about you, Drello?
Athena Kukulkan is a mighty combo, but Nemesis with it, very low CC. I'm not sure. I'm going with LG.
Okay, we'll see if LG can take it. After and Aggro are ready with game 2.
Yuzi's obviously a little bit influential here at the caster desk. We're all having a little bit of troubles, but for the first time in my life, I think I got to agree with Drelo. Just too little CC on the side of Noble, really.
It's really just the Athenaton, basically. Yeah, you've got a couple potent slows, the Kukulkan, Osiris, Nemesis, Sol, all have a ton of slows. Unfortunately for Noble, there is a relic that counters slows completely, and that's Sprint.
Oh, yeah.
You can't get slowed whenever you use Sprint. I'm assuming Jeff will be picking it up pretty early.
You've got the Sprint, you've got the Winged Wand, a lot of what Noble are going to bring to the table. There's an answer for on the side of Luminosity. Game number 1 was really, really intense. Obviously, Luminosity wound up on top drastically. So, do you think that Noble made the proper adaptation? Do you think they fixed what was wrong for that first go?
They give Aduro a god that has more clear in the middle lane, which is good for him, early at least.
More clear than a Ra?
Yes, yeah, the Kukulkan clears super early, unless he goes Boots 1 with Soulstone, which makes 0 sense to me. I mean, okay, so most of the time for Kukulkan now, popularized by MLC Stealth, both the god and the build that I'm about to talk about, it's Soulstone into Soul Reliquary. It's Book of Thoth 1. It's the full 1,500 gold, so you don't get any pots. So that's probably why Aduro didn't want to go for it. It is a risky build. It gives you a ton of power. You clear the wave fully at level 1 as long as you get all 5 autos to stack the Soulstone passive, but it is a little bit risky because you have no sustain. But going for this Boots 1 basically gives you nothing except a lot of extra potions that he probably shouldn't need. Kukulkan's as safe as it gets in the middle lane, basically. You drop the tornado, you walk back to tower. Your job is done as a mid laner for the next couple seconds. So I just do not understand this Boots Rush whatsoever.
I got to agree. Low power, obviously. We'll see how it works out. At the end of the day, maybe it just might be a little bit of movement speed needed there, but I don't know how that's going to work out. One of the things that I do think Noble accomplished was that they did take Mask off of a god that can really dictate the pace of the game. Batz is going to be a fantastic character from level 5 on, but he's more team fight oriented. Before on the right of Tasker, Mask was able to just drop down wherever the hell he wanted and really start trouble. Here, Mask is going to look to save that ultimate less for ganks and pickoffs and more for those team fights.
That's true, but I believe that Batz is one of the highest first blood rates of all junglers, mostly due to that really potent slow on Somersault. 50% at all ranks. If you hit the jump, it's risky because you use your jump to go in, but it can net you a couple first bloods, as well as the passive, the RNG crits, you get a little lucky.
Yeah, I mean, the way that we saw Mask get the first blood with the right of Tasker, realistically, Mask can do the same thing on the Monkey. It's not going to be a change there. He didn't really pull anything crazy out of his pocket, but this Luminosity composition is more really geared, I think, towards those team fights.
And while, yeah, you're right. The team fight overall for Luminosity, very, very strong. Tons of AoE. You've got the big Raijin ult. You've got the Batz ult as well.
They're going for it all the way. Whalrus! That's the first blood for Noble. Clowns and Crowns throwing down to the right side of the map. Gets it done.
I guess Scary just doesn't have enough respect for Whalrus. This is 2 games in a row that he's gotten the solo kill in there. I mean, you have to be wary of that up against Osiris. You don't get to see Osiris as much as I think a lot of people would expect. Has this very strong early laning phase. Clearly, ScaryD wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, the cleave out of the basic attack combination, and of course, just the built-in tankiness. That's 16% damage reduction when he's full translucent like that. That's a ton of DR.
So much different like intricacies in Osiris's kit. The tether, you know, using the 1 and 2 to both slow the opposition and speed yourself up. using the ult to shut down healing or get escape or root. So many intricacies to that character, but I love watching him get played.
And again, like I said, Whalrus, the shining light for this team. There's a real history of lower-end teams presenting just fantastic players. Once upon a time, there was a terrible team with a solo laner named Cyclone Spin. Once upon a time, there was a terrible team with a support named Aurora. And I think in the future, people are going to say, once upon a time, there was a lackluster team with a solo laner named Walrus.
And he's definitely helping his cause to get picked up by a great team. Here's the Fear No Evil in mid lane. No purification used whatsoever.
Ooh.
Xeno just way late.
Minute late and $1 short. The damage not even able to reach there. Walrus goes for the dive, and he gets shoved out. ScaryD feels good about that one, but I think the minions did the majority of the work.
Towers are OP, man. Why do they have to do so much damage? Walrus just wanted another kill. It's not that bad.
That was sometimes you get a little bit of ahead of yourself, and I think Walrus picked up the first blood and wound up going a little bit too deep there. How much does that hurt Noble?
A decent amount. I mean, you wanted to play around this lead that Whalrus had gotten, and now it's basically all but gone. It's about 180 gold, which doesn't really amount to a whole lot. A Sentry Ward and a pot is all that really does for you over the top of ScaryD. He does have a slight XP advantage, which does help him still. But both of these gods are lane bullies that want to trade out with each other. We've seen each one get a kill now. Let's see what they can do as they rotate into the team fights, because both of these gods are have very similar play styles. We're going to slow you, we're going to chase you, we're difficult to peel. Who's going to make the bigger effectiveness? And it should be easier for Ravana to make a bigger effect, because the oppositional mid laner, that's who solos usually target, is the mid laner. Kukulkan, nowhere near as mobile as a god like Raijin. He does have the slow immunity on the slipstream, though, which helps him significantly. If he can time that correctly and immune the slow from Prana Onslaught, it's going to make it a lot easier for him to get away from ScaryD.
Sure, it's going to make it a lot easier for him to get away from ScaryD, but there are so many other options for Luminosity. Obviously, the Fear No Evil, then you've got the ultimate out of Xenotronics, as well as the brief little mini stun that you've got, or mini mez or whatnot out of the dash forward. Still going ham. ScaryD going to be chased out underneath the tower. Jeff brings his own brand of crowd control, and again, lamenting what we saw in picks and bans, Noble just doesn't have that crowd control on the flip side.
Not whatsoever, but it's Jeff going for the shell, actually, instead of the sprint, but it looks like they want to have another man fight in the left lane. Great overhead kick to immune the Lord of the Afterlife. Just a little bit of, you know, you use your ult, I'll use mine.
Yep.
Oh no, he did the Wolfie! ScaryD thought he backed and then teleported before he finished the back.
Oh,
have you seen that clip of Wolfie doing that?
Absolutely.
Feels bad. Oh, that
man.
totally sucks.
The 2032 in full force. ScaryD gonna have to walk all the way back from home, and that's gonna be an issue coming up here. Tied 1-1. But a little bit of an embarrassing play from Whalrus diving that tower, and a little bit of an embarrassing play coming out of the other side. But BaRRaCCuDDa, anything but embarrassed. Shots from the sky rain down in that duo lane, and he's able to pick up one for himself. Wowy down for the count.
And that's Defender of Olympus down as well. Didn't even matter. BaRRaCCuDDa not worried about that damage reduction coming in from Wubbn. Probably should have used that ultimate earlier. If Wowy's going to get that low where he can get sniped down, that Defender of Olympus should have come out significantly earlier. And look at the level lead on BaRRaCCuDDa. Hold on. He's 3 levels up. What is that?
BaRRaCCuDDa is level 8 in 5 minutes. A ton of experience. Is there a way? Yeah, perfect. The experience per minute. You can see Ram is on par with a solo laner at the moment.
A solo laner that's gotten a set of fire elementals as well. I mean, that is just absolutely nuts. Now, Wowy does hit level 6, but no ultimate available. He's in a lot of trouble.
And here's a fight in the mid lane again. Xenotronics burns his ult for absolutely nothing.
That one's not on Xeno, though. Jeff went in, tried to hit the stun, and it was just Xeno trying to follow up. Unfortunately, Jeff missed the stun, and that's sort of stuff that happens. But that's okay. That's trusting your teammates to hit their abilities and being on point. That's the sort of follow-up that you want out of your mid laner. If I'm a support, I would much rather have my mid waste his ult because he thinks I'm hitting my CC.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up. I always like to see the commitment, because what's worse than missing that ultimate is next time when Jeff goes ahead and grabs the stun, if you don't even see the follow-up.
What's worse is whenever your jungler gets a 2-man Fear No Evil under the tower and you waste your ult because you're too
Noble's
late.
very deep in Luminosity's jungle. There's the ultimate out of Mask. Let's ride along with Luminosity as they take on Noble.
What's up here? Nice job. Good job, Scary.
They're really low, Bears. You want to go in as well?
Yeah, we can. They're on their feet. They're like
Run Scary.
Run Scary. Run Scary. Run Scary.
That's all.
No, you just gotta give it to those guys. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way I'm gonna get kills if I rotate in there.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah. Alright, up.
They just got hi-rez. Okay.
Run Scary, run Scary, run Scary, run Scary, run Scary's dead. Just complete. I mean, what I love the most about that was Jeff's complete just like lack of faith in Scary getting out. He knew that solo laner was dead. He's just like, run Scary, run Scary. It's like when you're watching the drive into the iceberg.
Right, or it's a horror movie and you see, you know, the assassin coming up behind Scary and Jeff's sitting there, run Scary, run Scary,
just move, dude.
run Scary, just turn around, just like he's right behind you.
Go.
Scary instead, looking really, really rough. I mean, he's gotten killed twice now. The solo by Whalrus almost got soloed again. He's the one who gets lucky with the return kill because of the tower shots and minion damage, but giving up his life for free there.
Yeah. And that, unfortunately, is going to impact the game a little bit more. So you can see there's almost 1,000 gold lead here for Noble, which is nothing to really hang your hat on, but just indicative of how this game has been going. 4 kills to 2 for Noble, and all 4 of them have been impacted by Mr. Whalrus.
And to give credit where it's due, Aduro hit a massive ultimate there. Hit 3 with the ult. It was awesome setup from his team, but the CC had basically worn off at that point. He hit them in that tiny corridor up between the 2 buffs. That's exactly where you want to be picking the fights. We talked about it last game, not so much this time, but if you've only got 1 heavy CC, you need to be fighting in the perfect spots or just completely trust yourself. That's the perfect spot. There's no way to get away from that Spirit of the Nine Winds in that corridor.
We saw it when MLC was playing this Kukulkan choice. The analysts brought it up next to me when I was sitting on the desk. It was, you know, look, when you're playing Kukulkan, you can't ult in the lane. People are going to walk away. You can't ult in the pasture field, you've got to look for these hallways. And, you know, I said, Noble's really deep. Why are they so deep? Well, the reason was to find those tunnels to allow Aduro's ultimate to actually mean something.
And that's looking much more comfortable for Noble overall. That's picking the right fights, thinking 1 step ahead. You can kind of fall into this trap of being very reactive at LAN, especially whenever you're not trusting yourself to make the right calls and those sorts of things. But looking a step ahead shows to me that Noble's feeling much more comfortable this game. Yes, and by the way, Wowy has basically almost caught up in that duo lane. Still down a level, still down about 400 gold, but that is much better than where he was before. Good farming by him, recognizing that that's what he needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was a strong 3-level lead. Noble sneak away the Gold Fury. Good shot coming out of Aduro to make sure to confirm that. Big mage ult certainly do a big deal. Not only just the mage ult, but also Wubbn alongside got that Wrath and is going to drop it down to confirm the objective. Noble pushes forward to a real legitimate lead now, about 2K above their opposition.
So if you haven't listened to our podcast that Hindu Man and I have done, the Domination podcast, you're really missing out, number 1. But we had Chaos on this week, and we were talking about why Kukulkan has sort of seen this resurgence. It's not just Stealth who plays it anymore. Every mid laner in North America has been practicing this god. And one of the things that he mentioned makes him so strong is the fact that you can just go on gold, ult it, and hog it.
And there's the ultimate out of him. Mad's going to drop down the Fear No Evil. Xenotronics on the defensive this time around, dropping out the drums, and Whalrus is able to take down the jungle. Noble still fighting Xeno very low, barely going to get out, taking a lot of damage from the NATOs, but not enough. There's 1 shot. 2 shot, not enough to kill, but just barely. Again, both mid laners escape with about 10% HP.
Run Scary, run Scary, run.
Run Scary. Not going to happen this time around. 1 for 3 is a Scary D. 6 kills to 2 as Noble laughed their way to the bank again. Still about 2,000 gold in the lead. Noble keep pushing these fights into the enemy jungle. At first, I thought it was just to really line up Aduro's ultimate. And the deeper you go in the jungle, the smaller those corridors go, and you can't really find the big wide arteries. Why is Noble so aggressive looking for these enemy fights when the buffs weren't even up?
Because look at the lead that Mirage has this time in the jungle. Last time it was Mask who had the massive lead and was able to push the pace. This time it's Mirage sitting at level 12. We talked about what we wanted Noble to do better. Put Mirage on a god that he's comfortable on. He's comfortable on Nemesis, and it's showing up about a level and a half right now, about 1,000 gold.
That's
too.
the key.
That's huge. And you're on Nemesis, man. You're not supposed to have a gold lead at level 12.
Nemesis is, last game we were talking about gold dependency and how important items were for Xenotronics on the Raijin. Well, Nemesis is the original item-dependent god. You look so inquisitive right now.
Where has ScaryD been? He's level 11. I feel like he's been level 11 for the past 2 minutes.
I'll believe it.
I mean, he just not farming efficiently whatsoever. We saw him die. If I'm not mistaken, he was like level 10 whenever he died, whenever Jeff was telling him to run. It's been a little bit since then, and he's still only level 11. Whalrus is level 14 right now.
Like I said, Whalrus has had the impact here, and Whalrus and Mirage are the two players during the regular season that really did the heavy lifting. You know, you saw a little bit out of Moswall, but again, that was very rarely did you say Moswall by himself. It was always the M&M boys, Mirage setting up for Moswall to make those Vulcan plays. You know, Wubbn and Wowy over there on the left-hand side, they do what they do, but they're the role play. It's really Whalrus and the jungle Mirage, and that's what we're seeing here in game number 2. One of the big things, I think, Aggro, when you're playing at a high level is you've got to understand your team identity, right? Sometimes your soul lane is better than the other. Sometimes your hunter is better than the other. Here, Noble have a strong jungle solo combo, which is odd. It's awkward, but it's still something that Noble have to embrace. That's what they're doing this game.
And where have the two fights been for Noble? On the right side of the map, playing around that jungle solo combo that you were talking about. And Wowy, look, he's not had a great game. He's been getting bullied the entire time, but when you're 3 levels down, you're level 5 and the other guy's level 8, not dying is really, really big. And he's done a decent job of not dying.
BaRRa goes up, Wowy a little bit out of range, but instead Duro's going to take one to the dome.
Why did BaRRa wait so long?
Yeah, that was my question too.
Wowy was way out of range there. As soon as that disapparate was over with, he could have been right up in the sky. Maybe he was worried about the Sanctuary. There's no shell on the side of Wubbn. He couldn't have shelled him or used meditation.
I think the answer to your question is that Wowy took so much damage. He was played up so far that I think he just assumed there was a rotation coming.
Maybe something like that, or it might have been one of those really awkward scenarios where Jeff says, "All right, good job. How come you didn't ult there?" And BaRRa goes, "Why didn't I ult there? I could still ult." And then he does, and it's completely useless. Again, forcing Wowy back, a good thing to do. Continuing to keep his farm down, but still, only about a level, only about 300, 400 gold right now. And if you can get sold into that late game, play around Whalrus and Mirage on this right-hand side, let Wowy get that free farm and get to late game where he can make an impact.
Whalrus just beating up ScaryD every chance he can, and there's going to be the bully coming out from Athena. Whalrus not going to go too deep, not going to follow up with the ultimate. Certainly could have, but won't, and instead you see the invade coming out from Mask. And well, actually, from Noble, Mask survives his own invade and picks up his speed.
The Mask being on that right side of the map is the only reason you didn't see Whalrus use Lord of the Afterlife on top of ScaryD there. He could have been in a lot of trouble with that Defender of Olympus. Speaking of trouble, Duro's in a ton of it.
And there's the stun into the Fear No Evil. Still not enough to get the kill. Instead, Xenotronics get ulted on by 2 different players. It's the jungle solo synergy coming on through. Nemesis ult steps it up for Osiris, and Whalrus drops the hammer.
Now Jeff just trying to make something happen with BaRRa. 4v5 right now. Noble just doing whatever they want, basically. Xeno just looking so uncomfortable in general right there. Yeah, he uses both relics, does a Duro, but you can still taunt whenever he's using that Sanctuary. Instead, he lets him get really far away, then turns, runs away. Just the mid-jungle synergy that worked so well for LG during the online stage is just not there thus far on land.
Yeah, spotty play coming out from LG. By the way, Noble gonna sneak the Gold Fury. Well, everybody's fighting over there in the mid lane. That pushes Noble's lead even further. You're looking at about a 5,000 gold lead, 39 to 35,000 right there. 4K. Along the way for Noble.
ScaryD's not smiling anymore. You saw him in the cam there. You mentioned it. He was giggling whenever he got soloed. Even earlier this game, last game as well. LG's at the point now where it's like, uh-oh, we might lose this game.
Yeah, and you know, down 2K, 3K, I think it was all Luminosity saying, all right, no doubt, we'll come back in the late game. But this time around, I think LG are, you know, they see the fact that they could possibly lose to Noble. And, you know, no disrespect to this team. This isn't really my thinking necessarily, but the air at this LAN is that Noble is the team that you're not supposed to lose to. You talk to these players and they say, yeah, you know, there's a lot of competition. LG, ALG, and And Eager. And nobody mentions Noble. Nobody's really talking about them. And, you know, Drelo brought up a great point over there on the desk where he said, look, nobody's thinking about Noble. Nobody's preparing for Noble. Nobody knows what's up with Noble. Maybe that's benefiting them.
It definitely is. I mean, look at this Osiris pick. Not exactly meta on this side of Whalrus, but he's 4 levels up still. Scary D, I mean, it was at 11 minutes that Scary D was level 11. We're 5 minutes past, and he's gotten
13.
2 levels in the solo lane.
Yep. And it's just, again, this is a lot of times when it comes to big leads like this, 3-4 level leads, you got to chalk it up to multiple players and the team really coming down to it. This is all Whalrus.
All Whalrus, Mirage having doing a really, really good job as well. And speaking of all one player that's doing well for a team, it is all BaRRaCCuDDa for LG right now. It is BaRRaCCuDDa keeping them in this game.
And right now, unfortunately, can BaRRaCCuDDa go 1-on-4? JeffHindla's going to make that a 2-on-4. And honestly, that pressure enough is going to chase Noble out. Here comes Mask, huge ultimate out of him. BaRRaCCuDDa a little out of range, going to take to the skies. 1 shot, 2 shots on Aduro. Can't clean it up even with the third. But the follow-up damage out of Luminosity. Xeno hits his ultimate this time around. 3 out of 4 shots go down and a player drops because of it. Luminosity put number 4 on the board.
Xeno finally making an impact with those taiko drums.
Exactly.
And this is LG. It was who could carry harder, BaRRa or Whalrus? BaRRa making the plays.
Big taunt out of Wubbn. That's going to bring JeffHindla underneath the tower into a lot of damage, even with the transformations. Here comes Whalrus knocking down the door and turning it up. Mirage combines. There you go. Another kill involving the solo jungle.
Scary D's here, but who cares? He's level 14. It's not a big deal. You could just ignore him, basically. Warriors from behind don't really do anything
Specifically Ravana.
Specifically Ravana, exactly. And we saw in the middle, underneath the middle tier 1, in that engagement in the middle lane, how Whalrus can just basically ignore any type of peel that LG's going to do to him. He dove Xenotronics under that tier 1 tower in the mid lane there. And what looks like a good fight for LG automatically turns bad as soon as Whalrus comes up. This game is, I was about to say it there, this game boils down to who's going to carry their team.
Absolutely.
Whalrus or BaRRaCCuDDa.
And that's what we're going to see into the late game. Noble still with a large lead above Luminosity, about 4.5K there on the money, right? 4.1. And Noble now, they seem to have the dominance. They certainly have the momentum here, able to turn around that fight over on the left-hand side and make that into their favor, not only pushing down the tier 1 on the left-hand side, but using Wowie's tower killing prowess to go ahead and take down the tier 1 in the mid lane as well.
No matter how much Soul gets bullied in lane, she's still going to kill towers really, really well. You see Wowy there just rotating in, sitting at 1-1 and 2 towards the bottom of the damage charts. And overall, the player damage of this game is very, very low. We saw Mirage with a really good lead in that jungle at the bottom of the player damage charts. We see Xenotronics at the bottom of the player damage charts as well.
And then we see Osiris literally doubling the damage out of our number 2. Osiris is 15K, BaRRaCCuDDa is 7,000.
And we talk a lot about solo laners. A lot of their damage is poke damage. It's not relevant damage. But when you're up against a character like Ravana, where he has no innate sustain besides, you know, the death toll procs and the shields he gets from auto-attacking, but that's not going to heal him, that damage is relevant. And we've seen what it can do. Scary D just being held down completely by Whalrus.
Now, realistically, when you're looking at other warriors, you know, when you have, let's say, I don't know, pick a bad warrior. Hercules, right? Hercules is behind. He'll still flip you and kick you, right? He's still got some crowd control. Guan Yu's still going to push his heal buttons, and Amaterasu's still going to drop some of the aura. Ravana, I mean, we're not really exaggerating. He's just there to beat you up. He's got a root, man. That's all that Scary D's got. How does Scary D become relevant in this game? Because right now, like you said, you could just ignore him.
You basically can. I mean, he's the same level as Aduro right now. His job is to keep Aduro out of fights.
So does he farm in a lane somewhere?
You can do that. Yeah, you have teleport available. I'd like to see him continue to split push down that right-hand side. Just getting any sort of farm. Him being in the middle lane right now, 2-way splitting this wave, 3-way splitting this wave, doesn't do anything for him. Why is he grouping up on this right-hand side? You have teleport available. He probably doesn't want to be there because he doesn't want to get poked out again by Whalrus, but you can always back and do that. Look at all the time he just wasted farming. That was so long.
Well, he got another level. There's the damage onto JeffHindla. Transformation going to be forced out up to the skies as Mask drops the ultimate on the right-hand side. Going to jump over the wall. More defensive than offensive, honestly. Whalrus here. He's made the rotation from the right-hand side. But it looks like this one not going to be a fight after all. Level 19 Osiris just chasing out Mask.
Yeah.
And it's all to zone out. Noble on the objective, but Luminosity's here. This one's going to be contested. Noble still taken away.
Now it looks like Xeno, no ult. Aduro's the target. Sniped away by BaRRaCCuDDa. ScaryD's going in. He's getting solo. Wowy hitting the gas pedal. Whalrus gets the double kill.
And that's the jump over the top, and Xenotronics forced away to the right because he's got that ultimate still lingering. Whalrus, left, right. Where does he go? Can't make up his mind. Finally decides, you know what? I'm going to just take your stuff. Red buff is under control. Noble, strip it. The lead has been extended. It's a 6,000 gold lead for Noble.
That was pretty lucky for Noble. We saw them use the Wrath there to try and confirm the Gold Fury, but Aduro had ultimate, and it was all of LG funneling in a straight line right for the Gold Fury.
Yeah.
And he decided to hold on to it. He gets it off before he dies, but still, I would have liked to see him be a little bit quicker on that trigger, pressing that ultimate button, shooting that out there. Even if you're just using it to secure Gold Fury, that's definitely worth it.
I mean, honestly, when I see a Kukulkan, that is my main thought process for the ultimate is you're there to secure the objective. That's a lot of what Kukulkan brings to the table. You've got area denial in the way of tornadoes, and then you've got the ultimate.
What is the, okay, so Xeno, there was a lot of talk on Twitter about his build game 1 up against Ra, going for Void Stone and that kind of stuff. Started to go into Book of Thoth, and then decided, nah, I want a Wingblade.
I actually like this play real quick because Wingblade is incredibly cheap. You're talking, what, 1850 right across the board? He started building into the Soul Reliquary. He's like, all right, I've got the helmet, I've got the boots, time for me to go power. And then he gets Nemesis ultimated, then he gets slowed by Osiris 37 times, and he goes, you know what, I'm done. I'm going to just drop 1850 and pick up the Wingblade, and then I'll get my damage on.
No, the Wingblade pickup in general is fine here. I think we talked about it. How many slows does Noble have? But why waste that 700 gold basically to get 30 power on Soul Reliquary? Just, you know you're going to need it. Build it first.
I think it was just the change of the mind, honestly, where he said, okay, you know what? I've died once, so it's not a big deal. Here comes power. And then he gets smacked with 30 slows. He goes, all right, you know what? I think I got to get the Wingblade. Big plays coming out of Noble, going for the Fire Giant. Nobody dead on the side of Luminosity. This is I mean, this is a big boy play. They're going for the bait more than the gold Fire Giant. They want the fight.
This is confidence right now coming out of Noble, pulling the Fire Giant. Masked okay to do his speed buff right now. Fire not taking a whole lot of damage, now getting below half health. Xeno up into the ult, but it gets immediately nem-ulted.
Love the ultimate and the play out of Luminosity there. Let's ride along with Noble as they try to take on the fight.
Look at the back. Watch your own right.
Yeah.
Watch your burst though.
Help.
Look at I have to get him.
I have TP. I have mantle TP.
That's just Beats Force.
I'm dead.
Alright, we're fine.
Silence in the comms as Noble gets swept up and swept away. Luminosity's voices came through the mics, I think, a little bit more than Noble, and Wubbn certainly feeling it there.
That's a big boy play and a big boy L that Noble's going to have to hold from that big boy play. Look, you know, I don't want to caster's curse anyone. I didn't want to say it going in. But when you're playing around with a Fire Giant with all of the other team up, that has throw written in big letters all over it. There's someone waving a flag that says you have the potential to throw at this Fire Giant.
Absolutely.
It isn't thrown yet. Noble's still in the lead in gold, but that is 5 people with Fire Giant on the side of LG, and now they're going to be able to look towards the towers and all that kind of stuff.
Mirage going to take on ScaryD, slow after slow, and the ultimate is going to come down. ScaryD mistimes the drop kick, and Mirage is able to make it happen next to Wubbn.
Look at Mast. He's like rolling his eyes. He's like, Scary, please.
Yeah.
This is your ranked teammate that isn't listening to VGS whenever you ping people on the map.
Yep.
That's what Scary is right now. Why is he there farming, man? I don't get it.
And here's the problem for me, honestly, is real talk, when it comes down to it, land nerves is one thing, right? You maybe are timid to make a play, maybe you don't push up and actually hit your ultimate, maybe you make a couple of mistakes, but the problem here for Luminosity is the issues that I'm personally seeing at a ScaryD, like, just seems like a lapse of communication. This isn't land nerves anymore, aggro. This is just problematic gameplay.
This is exposing a weakness in LG, and we saw Divios do it wonderfully and get in the first set up against Luminosity, really abusing that matchup. I mean, like you mentioned at the beginning of the cast, ScaryD was, for all intents and purposes, invisible. And now, look at what this has done to LG. Instead of having 5 people with Fire Giant grouping up and pushing something down, they've played this Fire completely passive. They've been able to do nothing with it. It's been Noble who's been able to spread out, farm, and now it's basically a wash.
Luminosity they're gonna make this play either on the tier 1 tower or the Gold Fury. I think Gold is probably a little bit more likely. Yeah, BaRRaCCuDDa, as soon as it spawned, already starting there, and it's gonna go down to half HP. This one should be free as anything else, and down it goes, and Luminosity inch back closer. Still now only 2,000 gold at the bottom. There's an ultimate out of Mask. I think he was hoping for Wubbn, who dodged it, and Wubbn not in any trouble. That is a misplay coming out of Mask, unfortunately. But Xenotronics certainly on the good side of things, jumping forward. BaRRaCCuDDa gets one. Luminosity trying to turn things around.
Huge ult from Aduro there, gonna pick off ScaryD. Whalrus gets the last hit. Great med, keeps him alive. And now it's LG on the retreat. Mass is the next to fall. Mirage gets the kill. BaRRa doing his best, just trading into 3.
And here's the rest of Noble. I don't think they're done pushing up, but Luminosity is gonna make it so. That Fire Giant a little bit powerful. And again, you know, this is BaRRa versus Whalrus at this point.
If ScaryD is playing the way he should and is level 20 and really tanky,
game's over.
That fight goes heavily into LG's favor. Instead, that Spear of the 9 Winds did over half of his HP. That really shouldn't be happening to you at 27 minutes. He does have the penetration online, but overall, the build from Aduro still not online yet. And we're talking 27 minutes. He's gone for this really, really expensive build.
Yeah, I mean, there's troublesome situations on both sides, I think, of the coin. You've got not only, like I said, this winds up being Mirage and Whalrus versus BaRRaCCuDDa, and I guess Jeff is having a decent game, but it's the BaRRaCCuDDa show for Luminosity, and to be fair to BaRRaCCuDDa, he's certainly making it happen.
I mean, we saw him get the last hit onto Wowy there, and Xeno had a great ult over the wall to set him up for that sort of opportunity, getting Wowy very low. We saw Mask blink in, use the blow the purification with the Fear No Evil.
Right.
Then Xeno comes over the top with the Taiko drums, forces the Sanctuary, and BaRRa's sitting there like, now he's got no relics, it's my time to shine. Does his best Marvel's impression, and we've seen there was a lot of talk coming into this land. What's BaRRa's third god gonna be? It's been Sol and Jingwei the entire split for him. What's gonna be that next god? Because you know teams are gonna look to ban those out. It's clearly Rama.
I mean, it's clearly Ram. It's an excellent choice, and he's doing a great job here. Almost a half hour on the clock. Noble leading in both kills and gold, believe it or not, despite the way that this game has recently gone, and the way that Luminosity able to snatch the air right out of the sails of Noble, able to tie this one up. It's 12-10 as far as the kills are concerned, but a 1,300 gold lead at 28 minutes, I'm not buying it.
This game is completely even.
It's a dead even game.
The only place that a team has an advantage is still Whalrus in the solo lane.
Yeah.
Still 2 levels up on ScaryD. ScaryD has not finished that 5th item yet, still has a starter item as well, where as you see, Whalrus has the Mantle of Discord, which synergizes so well with Osiris, because what can you do against him? He pops the Judgment Tether, he's in between your back line, you know, taking less damage, stuns you, then you finally get him low, we did it guys, and then you're stunned again, and it's so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, Whalrus, like, this is the key. I keep mentioning it. Now that we have a moment to actually speak about it, let's expand. Whalrus and Mirage, we've touched upon this pretty much the entire game. You can see that 11 kills, there's 12 for Noble overall. And then 10 assists, there's 12 kills for Noble overall. That's really the gem. It's those two. And then the flip side, Luminosity, they've gotta help out BaRRaCCuDDa. He's the only one helping the team roll.
ScaryD should just let Aduro go. It's time to let someone else take care of him. ScaryD's job should be to peel for BaRRaCCuDDa right now. Keep him alive.
He's just got to play Guardian Angel at this point, because, you know, now he's able to catch up. We're getting to the end of the game, and players reach a ceiling, and that's where the Robin's going to be able to catch up. So we're going to take a look there. LG now have some good positioning around the Fire Giant. Noble trying to take that away. Noble and LG kind of just mixing and matching here. You know what? There's the ultimate from Mask on the backside. Let's go with Luminosity as they dive headfirst into Noble, brought to you by Steel Series.
Double stun?
Nice job, good job.
I got the active.
That's fine. Kukulkan.
I didn't even need to blink. Okay, if we wait 60 seconds, we can actually
just wait, just chill.
Yep.
They don't have a sentry, they have to back.
No, they're not.
They're going for it again. My ult's up at 40.
They don't have a sentry.
Yeah, okay.
I'm despawning them.
Alright. I'm going to mid.
We're missing a lot.
You have TP? You have TP, Scary?
Yeah. taking back.
Just wait. We're gonna be waiting on you, Mast, for let us know once everything's up. My ult's down for a long time.
Yeah.
Ult's coming up. Our speed's coming up. My ult will be down for this. I'll have shell though. Who popped what there?
I just popped nothing. Only ult. And we got fucking beats.
Sometimes the mundane situations are what you want to listen to, and I think as we went into the team fight, all right, that was kind of boring. But after the fact, I actually really like hearing what goes on in those situations, because clearly, you know, Jeff is the in-game leader. He's there. He's asking his team what happened, what goes on, who popped what, so that coming into this next team fight, Luminosity has a little bit of intelligence about Noble and their availability.
Love the call there from Mast. I didn't use Blink. We got 2 sets of purification on a Duro and on Wowy. Let's back up in 50 seconds. We insta-win a fight. This Fear No Evil, we're going to be seeing it here.
Yep.
It's going to be a Blink Fear No Evil initiation from Mast, most likely, and they can win a fight off of that as long as he hits those 2 priority targets.
Which is why we see the start of the Fire Giant. So this is how a more experienced, a more veteran team is going to go ahead and execute this right here. We saw Noble try this, and that really was the end of their lead. Here coming in, Luminosity, you know what they've got, and it's going to be a dead Wowy. Continuing on, there's the ultimate out of a Duro. Hits Scary D, but this time he's able to catch up like we said. Level 19 on the Robin. Still continuing, there's the jump over the wall. Whalrus can't help his team this time. Wubbn gets a good taunt, but that's all he's got. No follow-up damage.
But Noble only lose 1. They only lose Wowy. Whalrus is going to have to back here, but he does have teleport available. Not a huge win there for LG. Good job by Noble backing up, peeling via damage basically for their backliners.
See, I will say that they got the ultimate out of a Duro. That's a problem when you're looking towards the objective. Whalrus teleports into a slew of Luminosity jerseys. Still able to get out of there. Mirage, on the other hand, not quite as tanky as his solo lane brother. And down he goes to the hand of a BaRRaCCuDDa. That's kill number 6.
BaRRaCCuDDa now 6-0-3. Gets the double on
7
to a Duro. Looking for Wubbn. Wants the triple kill. Is going to get it. 8-0-3 now for BaRRa. We talked about it. Who's going to carry more?
Yep.
I only see one person with a triple kill on screen right now. That's the hunter for LG, BaRRaCCuDDa.
And Luminosity understand that this game is going to be BaRRaCCuDDa versus Whalrus and Mirage. That entire team fight, nobody looked at anybody that wasn't named Whalrus or Mirage. You've got a Robin jumping on the backside, on Athena taunting 2 of your teammates, and Luminosity did not care. If it wasn't a Nemesis, if it wasn't an Osiris, it wasn't in their crosshairs. They take care of the 2 players that are the most impactful. After that, Luminosity pick up the Fire Giant, and they're pushing forward even more still. Luminosity, please, show me the graphs. Look at this change of gold. All the way up there, over a 7,000 gold lead for Noble at their height, and Luminosity's able to strip that away and start a lead of their own.
You see right at 25 minutes, BaRRaCCuDDa says, screw this, I'm done. It just puts the hammer down, yanks that golden Spherix lead right back into LG's favor. This is literally BaRRaCCuDDa's willpower saying, this game, we are not losing. We are the top seed in North America. My team is not losing to the bottom in North America, and he's doing it completely through his play. This game is a veteran player carrying his rookies to victory.
And, you know, unfortunately for Noble, I do want to sort of, you know, bring to light why BaRRaCCuDDa was able to do that. I mean, good thoughts and positivity. I'm sorry, the secret's just a book. When it comes down to it, Noble did provide a little bit of that throw. A lot of rookies on the squad, despite some of the successes that they've had here in this set, specifically this game. That player on the Fire Giant, they're going to go home and they're going to watch that VOD, and that moment is going to haunt them. You've got to make the intelligent play. Luminosity made the same play that Noble did. They go for the Fire Giant with everybody up, but there was one stark difference, and that's the availability of all the relics, and more importantly, the knowledge that Luminosity had versus Noble there.
Exactly. It wasn't like, we're just going to do this and hope it works out. It was, we did this earlier, we got this, this, and this, and now we're going to do it again and execute on those people. And the big number for me for BaRRaCCuDDa, not the 8 kills, which looks great, but the 0 deaths.
Yes.
Noble has been nowhere near him in these fights. He's been able to stay in the back, snipe, and then go in whenever everyone's low. And
that's, you know, that's been BaRRaCCuDDa's calling card. Here comes Luminosity just barking down the left-hand side. There's no real, you know, sometimes you get beautiful shots. God. Sometimes, and that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes you've got these flank plays. Sometimes you've got these strategy. Luminosity just says, hey, we've got Fire Giant, not even that big of a lead. We're just going to come down your lane and fight you.
And now Mirage ults BaRRa, and he just backflips away and just nothing comes of it. Can somebody stop this man?
No, that does not seem to be an option. BaRRaCCuDDa walks into the ultimate last split second, pops the Sanctuary. Almost looks like he did that one for fun. But either way, Luminosity having a lot of fun here. Left Phoenix goes down, and here they are sieging mid.
I mean, we saw Whalrus at one point had more than double the damage of the next highest person, and now BaRRaCCuDDa sitting on top of him. Aduro's had a decent game thus far. You see him third in the player damage charts. Not doing too badly, really only had one impactful ultimate, and that's why you pick Kukulkan, is for the big impact ult. We only saw one from Aduro, and funny enough, that's whenever it started to happen for Noble.
You know, I'll combat you on that a little bit. Noble had a fantastic time when it came to the objectives, looking across the way they've had 3 Gold Furies, and I think the Kukulkan did play into that a lot. So when it comes to hitting players, you know what, sure, I'm on board, but I think Aduro made it count when it came down to the objectives. And again, going back to it, if we saw a different game without that Fire Giant throw, those Gold Furies would actually matter, but unfortunately, we don't have a different game. That Fire Giant did happen. And here Luminosity looking to take this one away from Noble, because make no bones about it, this was Noble's game, 100% to 0, and Luminosity just snatched it away.
Again, specifically BaRRaCCuDDa, taking it all by himself, not going to be pushing down one of the last 2 structures for Noble. Looking at this mid Phoenix, you know they want to go on him. He doesn't have relics available for the next 40 seconds, so he does need to be very careful here.
LG here looking for the push onto the mid lane, trying to get the team fight happening. There's the ultimate out of Xenotronics. Mass combines. Down goes Wubbn. Down goes Aduro. Xeno gets the second kill. Mirage is able to answer back on a scary D, and Xeno getting chased down by Wally. Still, couple of hits to go on the tanky mid laner. He's got a couple of items, but it just don't matter. Whalrus answers back alongside his jungler, and will look like a great push for Luminosity that might have finished the game. Noble able to bite back.
And it's because Xeno dashed in to try and get the last hit onto Aduro and immediately gets smacked in the mouth for 1,200 damage from the Spirit of the Nine Winds. Aduro was dead there. There's no reason to go aggressive. Yeah, great. Xenotronics double kill. Looks awesome on the scoreboard. But now you've only got 3, you only get 1 Phoenix from that push. Yes, you killed 2, but like you mentioned, that was an opportunity to end the game.
I think there's 2 sides to land nerves, right? Some of these rookies, we always focus on the obviously negative side. The I'm timid, I can't go in, I'm getting smoked, I'm getting farmed. Well, I think we see the other side, the pure adrenaline rush. Oh my God, we're snatching this game. Down goes the Phoenix. Here I'm barking in. Oh, I'm by myself in the fountain. What's happening? That happened to Xeno.
The Zapman nerves. The Zapman style of land nerves. Just like, oh man, I'm so good. Where did I go? I just
pretty much died. Xeno, I think he, to be honest with you, Xeno had a very troublesome early game, and the mid game he was able to take it back, and I think riding along that, I can't fault the man on that. You know, he's got the adrenaline rush. He was really rocking it towards the end of the game. When you're able to turn around a bad game and make it a good game, I mean, that's a different story. So Xeno's certainly feeling himself a little bit. LG feeling the Fire Giant here. 17-14, one of the longer games we've had at LAN. 40 minutes on the clock. Xeno slowly coming here to the Fire Giant. Luminosity looking to take this a 4-on-5. Noble should fight into this. They have the numbers advantage.
But they didn't have the information to know that Xeno wasn't there, was off busy picking up his red buff. Very important, but I'm surprised LG was willing to try and bait Noble in there, because if they would have taken the bait, they would have been in serious trouble. 4v5 is tough.
Problematic. There's the ultimate out of Mask. It's almost automatic. To the sky goes BaRRaCCuDDa, and down the lane goes the ultimate, hitting next to nobody. Xeno gets a kill. Xeno blinks in, trying to make it happen again. Xeno, another one. The Dubleon for the mid lane, and here comes more damage out of Luminosity. Mask trying to make the jump forward, just not gonna happen, but JeffHindla able to take down Mirage.
That's 3 down now for Noble. Only Aduro and Whalrus left to defend. No ultimate for Aduro either. This looks like Luminosity makes an unbelievable comeback, down 6,000 gold at 25 minutes. And again, sheer force of will from BaRRaCCuDDa leading the way. 9 kills, top of the damage charts. Just awesome play from him.
Absolutely. You know, I'm one of those casters, I'm one of those analysts that like to lean on those intangibles, right? And sometimes I get flack for not enough stats or not enough this or not enough that. But when it comes down to it, man, star power is real. And that's exactly what BaRRaCCuDDa just tapped into right there.
Just the veteran leader saying, I'm putting it on the back. I'm ready to go. Let's win this game. And this is a huge 3 points for LG, picking up none up against Eager earlier today. It wouldn't have been bad for them only having one on the day, but it would have been really, really tough for them to make sure they get to where they want to be, especially with 2 matchups against ALG still in the future, as well as another showdown with Eager.
You know, that one's got to feel a little bit bad for Noble. Like we said, that was largely their game, and it went from Noble to Chernobyl very, very quickly. But as they go into their next set, they've got 2 more games, 1 more time. I think they've got to sort of bottle that and say, hey, look, it went south for us towards the end, but it certainly felt good in the beginning. Focus on what they got right, and then as they head into their next matchup, see if they can do it again. This one went the wild way. We'll talk to the analysts and see how they break it down.
Well, you mentioned Chernobyl there after, and what we really saw was a nuke explode, and that nuke was BaRRaCCuDDa. But go back to the start of that set overall, and honestly, the boys of Noble there got off to a great start, and it was all that guy in the solo lane, Whalrus. What a great start from Drelo.
Yeah, I've never seen a solo laner carry a game as hard as he just did. He literally single-handedly brought him out of the early game and into the mid game with a 4,000 gold lead. The guy was a monster.
He had the Osiris pick. The Osiris picks out so well for him, got an early kill against ScaryD, and ScaryD was just so far behind because of it.
Yeah, you saw at one point in time, ScaryD, I believe he was level 15, and you could see Whalrus 2 items ahead of him, level 19. Just, he had no care in the world whenever he was walking towards LG. He did not respect them at all. He was going into their jungle, pushing far into their jungle, like no concerns in the world.
And on top of that, you can see the post-game stats here. Drelo, when we look back over this game, though, this is the same old Noble eSports. It's the same issues they've had all year. Their early game can be awesome, almost flawless at times, but then what ends up happening, mid-game, late-game kicks in, and they just poop the bed.
What they should have done is they should have taken the game slow. They had a 5k lead. That's great. You can take any team play you want a neutral objective, but you can't start fire like that. You should take the game slow, slowly bleed them out into a 10k lead, take their buffs on cooldown, and then wait for the next gold fairy, beta fight on gold, and then go from there. You don't want to jump the gun. You don't want to give them a chance to come back. You take it slow and bleed them out.
Completely agree. And Whalrus there, like his player damage was insane for a long period of time. You saw the charts there where he was up over the rest of the team by a massive amount. It was something like 17,000.
Yeah.
The closest to him on his team was Adora, like 4,500. Whalrus had such a great performance from him, but was it enough?
Unfortunately, it wasn't enough coming out of Whalrus, but I think, like JLo said, a big thing that they failed to do was around that FG, they were jumping the gun. They were thinking they were going into that mode already, like on cruise control almost, and that they thought that they already had the game. I think they started imagining what things would be like if they actually took the split from LG, and you know, your mind can wander a little bit in these kind of sets, especially in the games that you tend to drag out a little bit longer than what you're anticipating, because when they got that massive lead thanks to Whalrus, I think that they really felt as though this was their game to take away.
I agree.
And I mean, I think everybody felt like it was their game, and then they just let it fall short.
Well, we've seen people discuss the facts of ScaryD. ShakyD is now getting called at the moment. A bit of a lad nerves that's going on with him. You can see the standings of how this has gone on so far. Eager set up 4 points. Luminosity with that 2-0 as well. Very, very good performance from the boys of Luminosity, though, there to come back from adversity to an extent in that set. BaRRaCCuDDa, the man, the myth, the legend, the fish tank will be proud with his performance there. And actually, we'll get an interview with him right now with Kevin Adonis.
I think legend is the right word right there. Team captain Hunter and overperformer BaRRaCCuDDa. How does it feel to close out that 2-0 against Noble?
Terrifying, actually. We were like really close to losing game 2. Whalrus was just destroying everyone for like a really long time. And I was like, please, I'm just carrying so hard right now. Just don't throw this game. Please fight with me.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, almost every single team coming into these groups have rookies. I think ScaryD has been the most affected from the players we've seen. How are you trying to combat that moving into your next games tomorrow and Sunday?
Against Eager, we played really poorly. No one expected us to really play that poorly, not even us. And then we still had game 1 against Noble was really clean. We played really well, and then game 2, I don't know if we got a little cocky, but we were losing lanes that we shouldn't have been losing. And I pretty much just had to put the backpack on game 2.
Well, the backpack was definitely on. There was definitely 4 members of your team in it. Talk to me about this game. Like, why did you feel like you were able to go off so much? I mean, were you just left untouched? Like, what was happening exactly?
I was left untouched, and then I channel Maynard Marvels to that game, and I was hitting some ridiculous snipes on their backline.
You were.
Also, Mask was doing a really good job of pushing their backline back, and if Whalrus is just sitting under me while I'm Rama sniping, he's not doing anything. So Whalrus was trying to peel while I'm just freely casting pretty much everything.
Well, now you faced off against 2 teams so far. What are your initial thoughts on Eager and Noble from the games you've played against them?
Eager played insanely well. They played lights out in scrim or in that game, and against Noble played really well. But I think second game was just us playing really poorly.
More on the losing side, more than Noble winning it against you. Awesome. Thank you so much. You still have one more team that you haven't faced off against, and obviously you'll be facing them again. What are your thoughts on Allegiance? Because they were, despite you not being able to pick up a win against Eager, ALG found one.
Oh, Allegiance was nuts. I'm thinking our set against Eager really helped Allegiance out in their picks and bans. I don't think going into that set they would have banned the gods that they banned without seeing our games. So I think Allegiance is a really strong team, but I think we helped them out a lot in that set.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any shoutouts before we let you get off there and rest for the day?
Definitely shoutouts to Luminosity and shoutouts to all the fans out there, and hopefully we pick it up going in tomorrow and Sunday.
Awesome. Thank you, BaRRa. We've still got one more set for you today. Make sure not to miss it. Allegiance is going to be taking on Noble up next.
Big boy nerds gonna get them more. Living life for the next drop.